I stood there holding my baby girl, thinking about all that had happened to our family since she was born. I surely never expected or planned to be a single parent, and I certainly didn't plan to end up in my husband's body. After 9 long months of dealing with pregnancy and having her grow inside me, my water broke and my husband rushed me to the car and we went off to the hospital. I was brought to a room and I spent 15 hours in labor. But there ended up being some sort of complication. They gave me an emergency C-section. The baby was born without any problems, thankfully, but it was me that was having the problem. I remember hearing the doctors say my body was shutting down. They had no idea why, which meant they couldn't do anything to stop it. I was about to die, and without ever naming my baby or even holding her. I remember my husband holding my hand while crying before a doctor pulled him away to talk to him. I had no idea why. I was dying and I wanted him by my side if this was my last moment. The last thing I remember is my eyes closing, followed by everything feeling sort of light. I felt as though I was floating. There was no light, there was no sound, and I was pretty sure I was nothing but consciousness. I was starting to think this was what came after life, but then I heard a voice. It was my husband telling me it was time to get up. I suddenly felt myself pulled forward into a light. That's when I woke up in a hospital bed feeling like I was stuffed inside my body. My head was covered in bandages, and there were nearly 12 doctors seemingly studying me. Before I could ask about what happened to me, or where my baby was, one of the doctors asked me if I knew who I was. I nodded and told them my name. All the doctors but the one who asked the question started to cheer and say the operation was a success. The one who asked the question turned towards them and gave them a stern look. Suddenly, they all looked like they had seen a ghost. They apologized to me and quickly left the room. Now with only one doctor and myself, I was able to ask my questions. The first was where my baby was, and if my husband was with her. The doctor told me that my baby was okay. She was a perfectly healthy baby girl and she was sound asleep in the nursery, along with several other babies. I felt relieved, but he didn't mention my husband, so I asked the doctor where he was. The doctor then looked sad. He told me that during the birth there was a complication and my body had shut down. I told him I vaguely remembered that, but I was clearly here, so it worked out. The doctor shook his head and said it didn't. He then told me that I had died and my body was beyond saving. I raised an eyebrow and tilted my head as I asked him if he was joking. He went back to his serious look as he told me he wasn't. If he was telling the truth, how was it possible that I was here now? The doctor said they had performed a new type of surgery that allowed someone's mind to be merged with someone else. I got really silent hearing that. I died, and I was placed into someone else's body, and there would have only been one person around to do that for me. The doctor noticed my face and asked me if I had figured it out. I nodded. I asked him to get me a mirror. He said he would and left the room, returning moments later with a mirror. I looked into it and sure enough, instead of my female body, I saw my loving, beautiful husband looking at me. I started to tear up. Yes, I was happy to be alive, but not at the cost of my husband's life. As the tears fell down my face, I heard his voice, but it wasn't coming from inside the room. It was coming from inside my head. He told me not to cry, as tears didn't look good on a macho man like him. I let out a little chuckle. He was always making jokes like that, claiming to be a macho man, even though he was short and thin and the biggest softy in the world. Just hearing him felt so relieving. But how was I hearing him? I asked the doctor and he said that was part of the operation. Although it does give the person being implanted full control over the body, it doesn't erase the mind of the person who controlled it before. So from now on I'll be in control of his body while he watches as a passenger. I asked him if he was really okay with that. He didn't hesitate to say yes. All that mattered was they got to be together, and they got to raise their baby together, even if they did it a bit differently than most. He was right, it was different. But that didn't matter. We were still together, and we were parents now, and we had a baby to take care of. So after a few tests, we were cleared from the hospital and took our baby home. Life was quite the adjustment after that. Even though I wasn't alone, I was still taking care of the house and the baby and working from home all by myself, all while learning how to manage a guy's body. Luckily, my husband was still with me, so he was able to teach me all about his body. He taught me how to use the bathroom, and I ended up making a mess. I'm not sure how, but I missed the bowl quite a bit. I never understood how men could do that before, but now I think it's just something that comes with being a guy. I was quite embarrassed for a while and refused to stand to go, but now, over a year later, I'm a master at aiming it. He also taught me how to shave, both my face and another area, both of which I've cut a few times. I'm still not great at shaving the lower region, but I've gotten quite good at keeping my face smooth and hair-free. Lastly, he taught me how to deal with those moments when the thing between my legs needed to be attended to. I thought it would be easy since I had done it to him while in my old body. But it's completely different when it's yours. Turns out that there's a lot of visualizing that comes along with it. But it's sort of fun in a way, and in the end, I was surprised at how good it felt. I heard it was better for females, but I'm not entirely sure. So other than that, in the last year and a half, I've just been taking care of our baby. Today was Father's Day, which was a special day for my husband. So I was holding our baby and dancing around with her like he asked me to. He started to say things to her, and I repeated them out loud for her to hear. She may not remember it when she is older, but I knew it would make him happy knowing she heard his words. He finished up by saying he wished he could hold her and give her all the kisses she deserved. Suddenly I felt all the feelings in my body vanish. I could still see and hear her, but I couldn't move. I asked my husband what was going on when my head started to turn toward a mirror in the room. I saw tears coming out of my eyes, and I realized what was going on. My husband suddenly had control of his body back. He looked back down and squeezed our daughter tightly and told her he was so happy. He cried into her hair and danced around with her like he had wanted. After some time, she got tired and he put her down for a nap. He watched her for a minute before I felt all the feeling from his body come back to me. I was once again in control. I sat down next to the crib and talked to him. He was so happy he could barely stay quiet in our head. I asked him what he thought about that, and his best guess was that it was something we could do, but we probably needed to practice. So we decided to try it again on another day and see if it happens again, and if it does, he can start taking over more and let him get the chance to make up for what he missed. He was happy to try, but not now, as that made him mentally fatigued. We were just going to watch our cute little baby sleep and appreciate that we could all be here together. As I sat there, my husband whispered, even though I was the only one who could hear him, and said, "Happy Father's Day." I let out a quiet laugh and said the same back to him. "Happy Father's Day to you, my loving husband."
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Also check out my Patreon and DeviantArt pages. There you can find all my public stories. You can also support my work by getting early access to all stories, exclusive content, and even commission me to make you a custom story. Anyways, thanks again for watching. I hope you have a great day.